All right, so when it comes to pantry ingredients, you might not think of something like pizza dough, but for me personally, we seem to always have like 3 or 4 balls of it in the freezer. So today I'm gonna be showing you 2 recipes that aren't necessarily what you think of when you think of pizza. One of them is breakfast pizza. Yeah. There's gonna be some bacon on there, some eggs, and I'm gonna show you how to time it perfectly so that you can either get a soft runny egg or a set egg, depending on what you like. And then we are gonna make some breadsticks. So today's special is pizza dough. Let's get started. First thing we have to do is get our pizza dough all set to go into the oven. So we're gonna make the breakfast pizza today on a rimmed baking sheet. And I'm just gonna start by putting a little bit of oil onto the rimmed baking sheet. And then just using a pastry brush, just brush it all around just to ensure that the dough doesn't stick. You wanna make sure you get up into the sides. I'm sure that if you didn't have like a pastry brush and you didn't wanna do this step, you might be able to get away with using parchment. But I think this definitely helps to kind of promote that browning and like that really great crunch you get. And you're gonna see what I mean. You wanna lightly flour your counter. So what I like to do is I just like load it into the front of my hand and it's all in the wrist. You do that just a few times. You don't wanna add too much flour, but just enough to make sure it doesn't stick. All right, so now I'm gonna roll this into a 15 by 11-inch rectangle. And the best way to ensure that your dough is gonna work with you and stretch with you is to pull the dough out of the fridge, and, assuming it's thawed, at least an hour before you wanna work with it. Jackson, my 3-year-old, loves to make pizza. And Willie, my 1-year-old, likes to eat pizza. So you don't wanna work this too much. Sometimes I just wanna get in there with my hands, but I will flour my hands. All right, so mine's an oval. But I think once we get it into that pan and it's on the oil, it might be easier to manipulate into that rectangular shape. Take my pen, kind of put it like a third of the way there. And let the dough pull onto the sheet. Yeah, so I definitely overshot it with the oval, which is good because then it kind of shrinks down once it hits that oil. Just make sure it gets into the corners. I'm gonna drizzle a little bit of oil just around the exterior. About a tablespoon total. Now, we need to top it. So, I said breakfast pizza, and I mentioned bacon earlier. So I'm gonna go grab some cooked bacon I have left over from yesterday. Clean this up and get the rest of my ingredients, and we're gonna continue to make the pizza. All right, so we have some usual suspects. We have some shredded mozzarella. We have some grated Parmesan. And then we have some cottage cheese. Stay with me, don't leave me now, I promise it's worth it. It creates this really silky topping to the pizza. You won't even know it's cottage cheese, I promise. So put that aside. Just a little note about the cheese too. So usually, America's Test Kitchen doesn't call for cheese that's already been shredded or grated. That's for various reasons. Number one, it's usually, shredded mozzarella is usually coated with something called cellulose. So I didn't have the block mozzarella today, so I'm just gonna go use this, don't tell anybody. And I'm gonna use the pre-grated stuff, don't tell anybody. You know what, I'm gonna get a bigger bowl. I'm gonna get a bigger bowl. All right, and we're gonna do a little of the grated parm. Again, it's our little secret, don't tell anybody. Put this aside. So we're gonna need just a little bit of the cottage cheese, a little dab will do ya. Then I'm gonna add some dried spices. We're gonna add a little bit of cayenne for kick. I'm gonna add a little bit of dried oregano, some salt, and finally some pepper. Mix this up. All right, and then just a little bit of oil. Again, I know it doesn't look like much right now, Dan. Dan's giving me a hard time about the cottage cheese, but I guarantee you'll thank me later. All right, I am going to pop this dough into the oven right now. I have a preheated oven to 500 degrees and I have the rack on the lowest setting. So that'll be in there for about 5 minutes. But I do have some leftover bacon. I'm just gonna crumble it because you can't have eggs without bacon. And it wouldn't be breakfast without bacon and eggs. So I'll crumble this, clean everything up, grab that dough in 5 minutes, and I'll see you then. Okay. And that's it. It's done. Just kidding. Okay, so we've got a little situation on our hands right here. So first thing is you want to just kind of go in there, just release any air bubbles, because I'm not going to let that sabotage my eggs here, people. Let's take our cottage cheese mixture. And you're going to spread it all over the pizza. I'm just using the back of my spoon. And leave a 1/2 inch border around the pizza just for the crust. Now, we'll take our crumbled bacon and top that over. We're gonna crack 6 eggs into some wells, but I need to make the wells first. And what I mean by wells is I'm gonna go in and make 2 lanes with 3 wells in each lane, so 6 total. And this is where the egg will sit, and it's fine to see the dry dough underneath there. And that step was important because we needed to kind of parbake the dough so that everything came out cooked all at the same rate. Because otherwise we'd have overdone eggs, raw dough. You get the idea. This is like a little, I feel like I'm in like science class in 8th grade all over again. So, again, 6 eggs. What I'm gonna do is crack the egg first. I just did that ahead of time just to ensure that, you know, I didn't get any shells in there or there wasn't a broken yolk. I didn't do a good enough well. Ashley, I'm gonna stop you. Last one. Now we're gonna go through and season each egg with a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper. Okay, it's ready for the oven. So I'm gonna put this into that same preheated oven at 500 degrees, bottom rack. And in the meantime, I'm gonna slice up some chives and some scallions for the topping for after it's done. All right, so this needs to cool for about 5 minutes. And I just wanted to point out, the yolks, there's one that does look a little bit further along, but the rest of them are all starting to set now. And on the screen right now will pop up a couple different time ranges for how to get your yolk either slightly runny or slightly set. So I'm gonna sprinkle some chives, some scallions on top of this pizza, slice it, and then eat it. Let's tuck in. I'm gonna take this bad boy. Ooh. Whoa, whoa, whoa. The cheese, all that cheese, and yes, the cottage cheese is so good. It adds like this extra richness as if all the cheese wasn't rich enough. Scallions and the chives add a little bit of that oniony flavor. It gives you like a really nice refreshing crunch on top of it too. I'm so excited for you to try this. All right, we're gonna go make some breadsticks. We're gonna make garlic and herb breadsticks. See you in a bit. All right, so here I have another ball of dough that's been coming to room temperature. All right, so I'm gonna divide this into 2. And now I'm just gonna sprinkle my board with a little bit of flour. What I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna roll and stretch each half of the pizza dough to a 9 by 5 inch rectangle. And just like the pizza before, this has been coming up to temperature for about an hour on the counter. Okay, I think that's 5 inches. All right, so I have a rim baking sheet over here that I already lined with some parchment paper. And I'm going to transfer this to my sheet. Just stretch it back a little bit. And breadsticks are, you know, super easy to make, but I never think to make them at home. It's just something I would eat at a restaurant or ordering takeout. But wait till you see how easy it is. And you can make these sweet or savory. So today, you know, obviously we're doing the garlic and herb topping, but you could do cinnamon and sugar. All right, so let's make the topping. We need to mince some thyme. Okay, so we just need 2 teaspoons. So I think this should be good. It smells so good. All right, so now we're gonna add a little bit of granulated garlic, some dried oregano, some salt, and, surprise, pepper. Okay. Give it a little mix. All right, so now what we're gonna do is take my bench scraper, but you can also use a chef's knife. And what you wanna do is cut 9, okay, math. In 1-inch intervals, you wanna cut the equivalent to 9 breadsticks. But don't go all the way through the dough. You just wanna go like to the bottom. All right. I do have a ruler, but I'm not gonna use it because I like to live dangerously, people. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Ooh, not good, Ashley. That's okay. Chef's treat, we have an extra one on this side. If I was smart, I would start in the middle, do 4 on this side, and 5 on the other. Okay, so now I'm gonna brush butter on all the sides of both doughs. It's gonna feel like a lot, but trust me, once these guys are baked, all right, let's talk garlic for a second. If you only had fresh garlic, I bet you could just use it. I mean, it might burn a little bit, but I'd say maybe mince it to a paste. That might help it, but give it a shot. I'm all in the camp of use what you have. Okay, I'm gonna flip it over. Easy peasy. All right, so what I'm gonna do is go back and just kind of highlight the marks I made on the other side. You also could just do it at this stage and not do it both times. It doesn't matter, they're still gonna be awesome. So these need to bake about 10 to 12 minutes until they're puffy and golden brown. I'm gonna transfer the breadsticks to a cutting board, but it's also the board that I'm gonna bring to the table as if I was doing that right now. And because of these seams that I did a sort of okay job doing, people can tear it themselves. Look. All right, I need to try it because I can't not try it. I could do some damage with these. Like, I wish I had a little marinara sauce right now. Breakfast pizza, garlic and herb breadsticks, a couple new ways to use up that store-bought pizza dough. So, thank you so much for watching. I will see you next time. If you have any questions, go ahead and leave them down in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, please like it and don't forget to subscribe.